Claire. I'm the secretary of IGIC and one of the people that are instrumental in just scheduling and putting together these IGIC lunch and learns that we've been doing. Today, our topic is going to be about permitting, geopermitting. It's a product that Schneider Geospatial has to offer, and the speakers are Ryan Smith, who has been with Schneider. How many years now, Ryan?
Off and on for 8 years.
Yeah, forever. And he'll be talking about their product and what makes it unique and flexible. And Penny will also be demonstrating how she's been using it over in Boone County. And Penny Vossler, how long have you been the GIS coordinator in Boone County?
Oh, I think I'm closing in on 6 years.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. So anyway, I'll let you two kind of take it away from here. And if you have questions, okay. Would you encourage people to just kind of beep in and ask their question right away?
Here, let me look at how this works here with the chat box. Tell you what we'll do is, if you guys have questions that don't need to be answered right away, feel free to just throw them in the chat box. And then Micah, whenever there's kind of a quick break, I'll just ask if there's any questions.
Okay.
But at the end, though, but at the end, though, we'll open it. We'll make it wide open for questions from myself or Penny.
No problem. I'll keep an eye on the chat box if there's anything that you need to be cognizant of.
Okay.
Take it away, Ryan and Penny.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for this opportunity, guys. I appreciate it. It's good to hear from a lot of you. I know we haven't seen a lot of each other in person, so it's always good to hear from people. So I want to start off today by just saying, so I was approached to do a demo maybe a couple months ago, and I was trying really hard not to make it salesy. So I figured the best way to do that is to include a client that frankly uses the product, more than I do. And I wanted to keep it entertaining. So, who better than Penny Vossler from Boone County? So with that being said, though, I would like to quickly just introduce Penny and just say hi really quick to the group.
The group's all heard enough. They will hear plenty from me.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so a little bit about what we're going to be talking today about is we have a product called GeoPermitting, and pretty much what it's all about is it's taking the idea of taking that paper, those forms that traditionally you'd have to fill out in a planning and zoning office and an engineering office, and kind of move that into a more digital age. It's something that came up we've been working on this for probably 10 to 15 years. It started in Minnesota with a county that received a grant with this idea. So there was a lot of printed out paper, and they were coming to the office and then having to copy over, word for word, whatever it was, onto a new piece of paper. And so they're trying to find a way to get rid of paper and also, frankly, just make it more accurate and faster and easier for your citizens. So we came up with a way to try to, it's kind of like a modern, at the time, just some type of an online form. So as we started to work on that, fast forwarding to today, it's able to pull from all these different databases, and it automates that process. And so that's why I wanted to have Penny on the line today, because traditionally it comes out of the planning and zoning, but Penny was, as a GIS person, and I did not know this a few years ago until Penny brought this up, is how involved the GIS personnel are with the permitting process, whether it be making a simple map, like a location, or just kind of managing that workflow of getting certain paperwork from one office to the other. Obviously, we're all working in different counties and different cities, so it's going to be a little bit different in each county. And that's actually the beautiful thing about it is our different clients use it in different ways. But today, though, I wanted to, Penny was nice enough to take some time out of her day to participate in this webinar with us today. And so as I go through, it's going to be Penny and I kind of having that conversation, and we'll see where it goes. This is a lunch hour. This is a casual lunch hour, so it's intended to be casual. So the first questions that are usually asked when you're in your own office is, what is your current permitting process? And I know I'm speaking mainly to GIS folks, but so it's not something that I expect that you're managing, but GIS personnel, let's face it, are becoming more and more of an influencer in multiple departments. I feel now more than ever, even compared to even like 10 years ago, how much more power the GIS people have within the county. And I think more that's a reflection of just counties now understand your role within the county, whether it be managing that data or just frankly just making simple maps. So some of the first questions we're asking are just, what kind of data is it currently in? Is it an Access database? Is it managed in Excel, or is it still in that filing cabinet back in the corner? So those are kind of some of the first few questions. Moving on, it's just kind of what problems have you experienced with related to permitting? And this is where I'm gonna lean on Penny here. I'm gonna get Penny involved in the conversation. So I showed Penny this slide a couple days ago, and Penny, do you want to elaborate on any of this, whether it be the multiple office visits, just kind of some of the redundancy? Okay.
All of you. Yeah.
So
we had the process where permits come into an office, and then they typed the paper form. They created a folder for it, figured out where maybe printed something from a print screen from their ARC map to show what it looked like on the map. And then that folder was walked around from office to office. Say a building permit had to get to the engineer's office for floodplain check, and it had to come to my office for a 911 address, had to go to the assessor's office to get on the tax rolls, then it had to go back. And of course, sometimes it sat on our desk for a long time, or we couldn't find it at all. And it may take a couple weeks to get a building permit through. With the new online permitting process, first of all, people don't have to come in the office during a pandemic. They don't have to leave work, come in during their work day. They can do these things evenings and weekends. There are so many benefits to having your permitting online, and ours was all up and running online before the pandemic hit. So that was a huge boon to our constituents, and they are thanking us for it continuously.
So what were one of the first workflows you built that was really, how do I say, GIS focused, that really helped out in your day-to-day job?
We started off with our sanitation department and with the septic permits and the inspections that they do. And the great thing is the parcel, and we'll show you more about this, but this attaches to your beacon, if you have beacon, or your Solutions or Vanguard website or whatever it is you have, and pulls information from there and inserts it into your permit. So it takes a lot of the errors away. Okay. I don't know how many times I had to run down a parcel that was just one number off, and this person was putting in a permit, but it wasn't their property that they're putting it in for. So this helps a lot with those errors. And the fact that there are email notifications that sends the quote package around from department to department. These sometimes the departments can do them simultaneously. It doesn't have to be a sequential event. We can set it up to happen at the same time, where everybody that needs to do input gets an email notification, and they can pop onto that permit. There's a link in the email. They click the link, and they're there, and do what they need to do with a click or two. The map services are wonderful. There's custom map services. Here's our engineers department with their entrance permits. There, it pops up on the map. They can click. Oversize, overweight was a big one, because those were handled they came in by a fax or sometimes even phone. And then the engineer, when he came in at the end of the day, because he's out on a building project all summer when the heavy oversize, overweight permits happen, and then he had to pop up his ARC map, find the location, pull up the floodplain layer, or if it's a building permit, or pull up the route if it's a oversized overweight permit, and then he had to approve that. And sometimes those things didn't happen at the end of the day because it was already a long enough day. Now with the GeoPermits, he gets an alert on his cell phone. He opens it up. that there's a custom map service that has the parcel, it's already zoomed into the correct parcel or the correct location. The floodplain layer is there for him. He takes a look at it, he clicks an approve button, and that emails the notification to the next department that needs to do something with it. And he does that from his cell phone in the field in seconds. What used to take him, he wasn't a very skilled ArcMap user, so it used to take a lot of time. And then there was the billing and accounting part of it, where for oversized overweight permits, they would send a bill to whoever ordered, whoever submitted the permit, and then they had to, of course, have accounting, keep track who owes what, if they're over 30 days, if they're over 90 days, and keep sending that information out. And now with the permitting, the online permitting system, they're paid online before in advance. So all of that billing and accounting went away. It's just gone, and it's an amazing savings for that department. Okay, now you can. So did you see?
No, you're good. I'll just hit the mute button, let you talk for 40 minutes. It's all good. No, I'm just kidding. But you did start to mention something. There's something that I've seen just speaking with some of the GS personnel that are utilizing this is that we're seeing just that I feel like the GS folks are kind of that go-between sometimes with some of the offices, whether it be engineer's office or assessor. And we've seen that kind of helps manage some of you can kind of control those workflows or improve those workflows. Have you used any of the workflow design, or did you see any improvements with Boone County's workflow design?
There are various ways you can sign up for this permitting system, and one of them is where they set you up, train you, and get you started with your first permit, and you have somebody on site who then does the rest of the permit creation and tech support, and of course our county went that route. So I've been doing all the setup and the tech support, unless I hit a major problem, and then I have what I think of as my own. Tracy's my own personal tech support person over at Schneider. Seems like it anyway, because he's always available for me. So I really, really like, and if we could go back to that slide that showed you the flow chart, this is now how you design a permit. These are all drag and drop from the left-hand menu. You drag it over, drop it onto your design space there. You can drag them around. You put in little arrows to connect them from one thing to another, and you can also click a check button. It'll tell you if you've got some flaw in your logic. It's really, really simplified this whole programming bit. So, and I work through this workflow, and sometimes I take a shot of it and send it to my whichever department I'm working with, and ask them, okay, is this what you meant? And this, this is how you wanted it to function. You can drag notifications. At this point, the applicant gets an email that says we've received it. At this point, it gets, notifications can go out during the process so they can see that it's progressing. They don't call in to check on it. And at the end, the permit is actual document that pulls information from all of the application and all the people that have put information into it, all the inputs, and creates the PDF or the permit document and emails it to, once they get the final approve, that's emailed back to the applicant. So all that time in the office that's spent typing up a permit, putting all the information in, envelopes, addresses, postage, all that process is gone. That's a huge time saving and money saving.
Another thing, I guess, before we show what it looks like in person is I'm a big fan, as a GIS guy, I'm a big fan of dashboards one way or another. And that's something that we've really tried to focus on from a GIS user point of view, is those dashboards, whether it be that view of showing where all the permits are located on a map, to just seeing which permits are in progress and which ones are pending payments. So it really gives you a lot of power to kind of manage those workflows. And the other thing that's nice too is it doesn't have to be a permit per se. Going back to my old GIS coordinator days, I would have loved to have this solely just to have it for map requests internally, so that I'm not getting all these random map requests from people and say, hey, I need it in 2 hours. This way it's more of a workflow that you can design to kind of establish kind of some of those map requests. So.
Having checkboxes, what data layers do you want? List the layers and let them check a box of
Right.
which layers they want you to include in this map.
Exactly.
And if you hooked it through Beacon, they could give you, if they only wanted a certain area, they could have that area, zoom into that area and say, okay, I want a map of this area, and this is the data layers, check, 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 check. And this is when I need it, put it on the little calendar, yeah, drop down dates, really slick.
Yep. And then kind of leading into that too is on the inspection side. Here in this photo, we have a couple inspectors hard at work out in the field. So just kind of more showing just, more of what Penny was talking about, where you don't have to write it down on a piece of paper. You can actually just put it on your cell phone or iPad, or you can be out there with the actual homeowner and go through the inspection process. So, more things, the highlights here, document attachments that you can do. We'll show that when I get into live demo. And then it goes without saying, but talking to a GIS crowd, it interfaces with the GIS map, or excuse me, not GIS map, but with the GIS layers. Penny, do you have anything that you'd like to add related to any of the mapping portion of this?
You get cool mapping tools that they can sketch with, straight lines, polygons, but also a measure tool, so they can actually draw a line to the correct length, and the measurements are on there, and it's legible, which is a real bonus.
Great. And then also too, as we mentioned, that Penny had mentioned too, it interfaces with CAM and GIS. I do want to stress on the phone, you do not have to have Beacon. Boone County has Beacon, but you do not have to have Beacon. This is a standalone product. There's a few counties that do have this in Iowa that do not have Beacon, but we're able, because the way Iowa's set up with Vanguard or with CAMA and GIS users, we get connected through those databases. So.
Ryan, do you have customers that are not county, like a city or some corporation that you interface with their database?
Yes, we work not in Iowa, but we work with some pretty big utility companies. I can't mention them by name, but we work with some pretty big name utility companies that use this service, where they've brought in other permits that they already have in their database that they overlay as a layer, such as like railroad permits, or just properties that they specifically own as an overlay when they're getting ready to possibly apply for a permit. And then also we also have cities as well that have this specifically, so they'll actually connect to the county data. Because sometimes what I've learned in Iowa from talking to some of the P&Z folks is some of the permitting process, or just overall what they can control and not control, sometimes that is outside of some of the large city jurisdiction. So, for example, in Boone, I believe Boone County, you do not work with the city of Boone. Is that correct? Or the city of Boone has their own department. Well, is that correct?
Yes, they have their own. But actually, when we're doing permitting, if we have a building permit within 2 miles of a city limits, we have to get their building department involved in the decision. So I worked with say Ogden and Boone and set up. So if it's within a 2 mile limit, I've got that limit on on the map service for building permits. So if they're within that 2 mile limit, we email to whichever the appropriate building department, and they have to approve it before the permit can go forward.
Okay.
So that's,
and then here's just,
they have a user. Of course, it's a free account to get on the permitting software. So they have a user, and they just click the link, log in, and look it over, because the map, of course, is visible right there in the permit. They get to see exactly what area we're talking about, and it looks pretty much like our beacon with only the layers that they need. So it's a quick decision for them usually.
Okay. And then here's just a quick screenshot of contractor database. This works both ways. When people sign up for it, that gives you, the county, that nice clean list of contractors. You can include other information in there, insurance info, whatever else you need to. And also you can automate and create documents maybe that are a little bit more official looking, like this screenshot here of Marshall County, Indiana, just showing, so we take some of those templates that you have to have, and we can actually input those into the system, and it'll autofill some of that information. And then also too,
and when they file a building permit, we have a list of our registered contractors, and there's a drop-down list that they can pick their contractor from, and then it adds all the information from that contractor, so they don't have to look it up and put it manually in a paper form. So that's really nice for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. In some states and in some counties, they even have where they have to be pre-approved with the county. And so therefore, it's from that choice of the drop-down list for them to choose. So, but every jurisdiction is a little bit different, so we try to accommodate as best we can for each one. And then reporting tools. It goes without saying with the GIS folks that we have some really neat reporting tools. We have stuff that's very, what I would call very bare bones on the export side, where it'll literally export every single piece of data. So that, as you can see in that Excel file, so that allows you as a GIS person, you can do whatever the heck you want to do with that data. You can make your own custom maps. What we see a lot of is the creativity of, just pulling a lot of that data, and then you can put, upload it to ArcGIS Online, and then you can share that with your organization. And you can do that simply by just linking parcel ID. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. And the way we designed that way on purpose, so that you, the county employee, have a lot more control over that data and how you want to build out some of that functionality with the reporting. And then also too, you can see we also have the canned reporting tools as well, or reporting interface as well. Penny, have you used any of the reporting?
The customization is nice. Yeah, customization is nice because you can click on which attributes, which fields you want to show in your report. It's just the whole list of fields is there, and you click, 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 click. These are the ones I want. Set a date range. Our offices that have to report their income monthly to the treasurer's office, we can build a custom report for them, and then they can just pick it from their list and run it. Set the date range and run it and turn it in. So rather than that time-consuming going through receipts or whatever they did before to turn in their income for the month, this is has been really nice for them as well.
Great. Okay, let's take a really quick pause. Micah, are there any questions for myself or Micah before I go into the live demo?
Nope, none that I've seen so far.
Okay, thanks. All right,
so going on out there.
So, all right, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and kind of show you more of the live demo. And the first thing I want to show you is something that Marion County and Boone County came up with, which is kind of what they're talking about. They're like, hey, people go to Beacon and then they want to figure out a way to apply for these permits. So what we added is we go to the Beacon portal. I hit search. I'm looking up that property. This is what we call our parcel report. Got all the information here. And so what we did is we just simply added this button, and it says apply for permit. So when I click on that, this is something Penny designed. So Penny, if you want to speak to this at all, but I think it's really slick to where she has it separated out by departments. So that way, so
we were getting too many permits. It was getting hard to find them. So I divided them up. It's a little easier for them to.
Yep.
But these are the ones that are parcel specific. We have quite a few that are not, but these are all property related. So
yep. Yeah. So pretty much what this does is this allows me to click on this button here, and then it'll actually take me into that permitting system. And then once I log in, it'll actually autofill a lot of the information from this parcel report. So because our GeoPermits program updates nightly, so it pulls that information from your CAMA and your GIS. That way your mapping layers and everything will be the most up-to-date when that person starts to apply for that permit. So once they click on that, I'll click on it, but it'll just take me to this screen here. I don't have a login specifically for Boone, and I don't want to mess up, I don't have to have Penny deny me that permit. So now I'm going to transition into, this is kind of our sales sandbox here. So I'm just going to go through and actually apply for a permit and just kind of show you how easy it is. And Penny, as I'm going through this, or anyone in the crowd, if you have any questions at all or say, hey, stop, wait, you know, what are you doing? Go back. Do not hesitate to unmute yourself and just identify yourself really quick and then just ask the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply for a, oh, apply for the wrong one, excuse me. Hit the refresh button here. Okay. I'm going to apply for a building permit. And we are using Grundy County's data. I already talked to Don Campman. He said, no, don't use it, but I told him too bad. So we're going to do it anyways. So here's what the Grundy County permit looks like in this case. It has kind of that roadmap for you on the left-hand side, which I love. So you can kind of get an idea of just how long this permit might take. Here's the canned information that you can take from your county website and you can put on here. I'm just going to hit next. And I should point out, you can do this on your phone, your iPad, or just any device where you're connected to the internet. So next step here, it's asking you about the property. So I'm going to do property owner name. So I'm going to type the last name Campman, hit search. And so this generates these results for me, similar to if you're searching in your CAMA system or whatever system you're using, it'll generate those results. In this case here, I've identified the landowner that I'm going to be working with. And I'm going to hit next. And so what it's doing right now is it's taking me to that applicant information. So this is where we're getting into these different stages. So as soon as I hit next, and Penny, I don't know how yours is set up, but you can actually have a notification sent to your office right after I hit that next button. So someone knows that someone is at least interested in this specific property in case they might drop off. So I'm going to go ahead and finish filling out this information.
Notice it auto-filled all that information.
Okay. So it's asking me some yes, no.
Everything on the database.
Okay. So it's asking me also some yes, no questions as well. So this will kind of maybe take me to 1A or 1B. In this case here, it's asking me if it's agriculture. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, it is not on a floodplain. So I'm going to hit the next button. And so now it's asking me also too what type of work I'm doing, if I'm doing an addition, alteration, or if I'm just moving a building, or if I'm doing new construction. In this case here, we'll just do new construction. And I'll just go ahead and put in, Tom's going to put in a nice new lawn shed. So I can just type this in. Be better if I could spell better. There we go. And then so also I can put in the dimensions if I need to. So let's go ahead, let's make this a big one. Let's say 10 by 20. Put that in as well. Is this proposed? So it's asking me a lot of yes, no questions, which is giving answers to the county as we kind of go along. The construction dates, we can set that for, let's go ahead and say March 1st. Anticipated end date, let's just say it'll take a month. And then also here, I can actually hit select files and I can submit plans if I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and go to documents. And then
We
so I can
usually
add
like the building plans. Our assessor's office goes back and looks at those sometimes when they're doing, when they're going to go do some assessment on the property. They like to pull up the building plan.
Yep, so see, I've added in this JPEG, so I can add that in there. It'll automatically give me a permit fee. I'm going to hit next. And so now it's taking me to the map and it's asking me for just some, so what it's going to do, it's going to zoom me to that property. So here is the Campman Mansion right here. And so what we can do is we can actually use some of these drawing tools and I can actually draw out the shape of what I'm trying to do. So in this case here, I'm just going to say that's where my lawn shed is going to go. I'm going to put some, I'm going to put some text here. So it'll say right there. And then what I can also do too, I can also measure my setbacks, which is really nice. So I can, if I need to measure all the way over here, I can do that. I can measure to the house, I can do that. And I will say this is not, this is not engineer grade. but it's supposed to kind of give an idea of what that person is trying to do to the property. In that case there, they can measure. Maybe that's also too where you can notice how it's 3.72, maybe the rules has to be 6. So that would allow me to go back and hit the erase button and redraw that. And then also too, I can draw my line, just double click there just to kind of show that as well. And so I can add in any text. And so the whole point of this is me as the applicant is I'm trying to just draw a picture versus getting a blank piece of paper, and I'm trying to show what I'm trying to do to the property. Just as fast as I can zoom out, I can look at all my other different GIS layers that have been provided to me. I can notice here, this is
Like
a floodplain. Notice here, this is like a floodplain layer, I believe. So I can turn that on and off. Yep, I think that is my floodplain layer. There we go. So in this case here, that's where I can turn that on and off to just make sure that I'm not in that floodplain layer. So I can also select more files if I need to. I can add more pictures. I can download that photo. And then so those stay with that project. So I hit the next button. I'm going to quickly go through, but this is the payment part. I'm just going to hit make payment. So then what I'm doing there is I'm uploading that payment. Cross your fingers, hopefully it goes through. Oh, there we go. I'm going to hit the back button on that. I'm actually going to just do cash for the sake of this.
Otherwise, it takes you to whatever payment system your treasurer uses to take tax payments or.
Yep. So I'm going through this workflow. Yep. So then now we get to the part. And so, like I said, so this is a specific permit, but there might be other permits where the GIS person might be more involved, or if there's something that they need to double check with boundaries, or if there's just something else that needs to be created, that can be added to any stage in the process. So we get more to the approval side. I'm going to say it's approved. I'm just going to say looks good for the sake of the demo. And then also, if there's any inspections that need to follow, I can add those in. So I can just put in foundation. And so what that's going to do is that's going to add in an extra layer of steps as we go along. I'm going to hit next. Here's my permit number.
Perk test for rural properties. Rural properties would need that perk test.
Mm-hmm. And then here's my document that generates my permit ID. And then here would be my foundation inspection request. So that goes back to what I clicked on. I can actually put in a requested date, and it'll actually send an Outlook calendar invite. I can put in my email. And then I can do the inspection type. We only have the one to choose from. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Inspector's name, it's giving me a choice on who the name is. The date. I'm just going to put in some quick times here. Next. Foundation inspection. So it's kind of taking me through these, one by one, just any kind of steps along the way. If there's any photos, if Penny's out in the field as the inspector, she can look at that and see what's going on. And then she can hit yes, no, or reschedule. So if she hits yes, then that person will actually get an email saying, yes, everything's been inspected, no violations. And then now we have our full permit. So we have our permit number. I can jump around to all this information whenever I need to. It has my estimated fees. I hit the submit button. And we've now successfully gone through the entire permitting process. So if we need to print this out, we've got the fancy QR code if you need that to go right to that location. Then I'm going to pull up my email here. And as you can see on my email, I have the email notification that I just filled out for that application. It gives me the information. It says, congratulations, it's been approved. So this works in a couple of ways. So in the GIS or IT world, if you are having to be notified at a certain stage, it'll actually just send the email right to you. You click on view application, and then you're good to go. And you can just click on that and go from there. Let me go back to this.
And these are
All right.
all highly customizable.
Yep. And then here's a kind of a look at that dashboard we talked about. I can monitor all my different workflows. I can even go to the map that's created. And I'm going to zoom in. Oh, there we go. And so I can look at where all those have been applied for within the county. So kind of more of that mapping functionality. Oop, getting too click happy. But I can also hover over this. I can click on that. I can zoom to that. I can view that specific application. I can pan and zoom around if I need to. So just if I'm going to Grundy Center, I can see what other open applications there might be. Anything you want to add to all this, Penny, as I've gone through it?
No, this is, we started off with version 1.0 and this 2.0 is a nice upgrade.
Yep.
And we convert everything over.
Okay. And then the last thing I was just going to, the last thing I was just going to show to the group is just kind of, I guess, for all those that have heard of Model Builder one way or another. This is kind of
flowcharter.
Yeah, so I just I especially enjoy this on the admin side of kind of controlling that specific workflow, because what we found out is it can be anything where there's multiple departments or multiple buildings where there's some type of workflow within your current job. Like I said, it does start with some of the planning and zoning because those are some of the simple ones, but we've seen it really expand to the GIS and to the engineer's office a lot in the last year or so. And it's been a lot of things to
address requests. That's a simple 1 page or half a page,
Mm-hmm.
But it allows you to file and track and search for any of this information later, because this is all kept in a database and you get to set what criteria you can search on. I want to search on parcel ID, owner, or if it's address change, I want to search on old address, new address, owner name, all those kinds of things.
Yep.
And it never gets misfiled like in that filing cabinet.
Yep. So in this case here, I just want to show the group, like in this case, there's 126 different file types that technically you could put into an attribute table. To where you could really do a lot with it on the GIS side. I see this more and more, especially with ArcGIS Pro coming out, just kind of more of the weighted displays, making it easier to where, you can see a higher amount of density of maybe applications for a specific type of a nuisance, or that seems to be somewhat popular with some of your elected officials is some of the nuisance complaints or the ways to file nuisance reports. Sorry, stumbled with my words. But my point is this gives you, the GIS personnel, a lot of that raw data that I crave. So then you can kind of take it and do what you want with it and make a lot of really neat looking maps that you can display at meetings, at public meetings, and just kind of really show, so kind of taking that data to the next level, but putting also your own, a little bit of your own brand on it as well from the county point of view. Anything else, Penny, with the reporting?
No, I just got to say that we've had our Beacon website hits have, with this pandemic, we've increased 1 million views in the last year. 1 million data item requests in the last year from our Beacon website. Extra. So we're up to 4.25 million a year now for Little Boone County. So people are really using this. Good.
I just put a note out, just seeing if to everyone if there's any questions at all. I know it's lunchtime, so I know everyone, like we're saying, everyone's kind of chomping on their food, but I wanted to keep it to about 40 minutes or so. Any questions at all? Comments? Well, Penny, you must have covered everything.
I was going to say, is anybody still awake out there?
Well, I sincerely mean this. I thought it would be better if if we heard from someone like Penny, a GIS user in the state, and just seeing, just kind of getting her perspective, especially from that GIS point of view.
I found you could go from office to office, office and find a use for it in every office.
Hey, we have a question, Penny, and I'll let you answer this one. It's from Paula. How long does it take to get set up initially?
Hey, Paula. It took, we did training, and then they do on-site they came for a week on-site, and by the time they left, we had a permit running. So not terribly long.
I guess to add to that is we provide templates versus just handing a blank piece of paper. And what we found out too is a lot of those templates can be easily replicated, just making small tweaks. And then just also too, we're more of the we'd rather teach you how to fish than fish for you. So we really like to give a lot of power to the county user and how to use the tool. And the last thing I would say is a lot of it usually starts with a very simple one, like a driveway permit. That seems to be a very easy one, where you're just dropping a dot on a map and saying, I need a new driveway permit.
Hey, James. Yes, really, we do both septic inspections and wells. We have one for taking well water testing.
Hold on, Penny. Hey, Penny, hold on. Let me ask the question first. James asked, is this customizable? And could you use this for septic inspections or wells? Go ahead, Penny.
So yes, customizable. We do well water tests. We do radon kits, but definitely our septic inspections all go through a permit process, including the perk test, and all the results are added to this, which are then automatically emailed to the permit applicant. So we don't have to type up the results and paper mail them to them. They're automatically emailed after you enter the information into the permit. We set up the email for that. But yeah, you control every step of the process, and I don't think there's any kind of a interaction with the public that I couldn't find a way to make a permit for it.
The one I want to point out that I think is pretty cool is Boone's going to start using it for golf carts.
Oh,
is that true?
I thought you had.
We've got it for our carts, rental, and also our annual fee. If you have a membership fee, you can pay for our membership fee through a permit. But yeah, your cart storage and also your boat storage, your dock storage fee as well.
Great. All right. I'll just go ahead and throw this slide up.
Yeah, James. I think not only will Ryan share his PowerPoint with you, James Worm, but he also, if your environmental health person wants to contact our sanitation, planning and development department and sanitation, I'm sure they would be happy to tell you exactly how they use it. We could do a screen share and walk you through one of our plans so you can see what we've done.
Okay. Micah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys doing this and sharing the information with us. Just want to let everybody know, like I said at the beginning, that we're going to be kind of rearranging the schedule a little bit because some stuff related to census, which was originally our February next lunch and learn, is going to be pushed back. So be looking to your email, and we'll share it on Slack and through the IGIC list and on the IGIC website. So just a heads up on that. And if anybody else has any topics, either that they would like to present or that they would like to learn more about, and I can go hunt someone down to present information, I'm more than happy to do that. We want to be able to do these every month, and we are scheduling. We've got most of the spring scheduled, so we are looking at late spring and summer, and I'd love to have a full docket for 2021. Anything else from BJ or Josh? Anyone else have anything they wanted to chime in with?
Would like to remind everyone we do have our business meeting next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Everyone's welcome to join.
Hey, I have a question. This is Ryan. Is there any talk yet of when we might go back to in-person meetings?
Nothing I've heard.
Okay, just curious.
Um,
I'm optimistic. Yeah. I miss seeing other human beings besides my family. So.
Yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, I mean, as we plan ITAG for June and stuff like that, I would think, you know, in corresponding with that, we'll be doing in-person meetings.
Okay.
Assuming there's a lot of vaccination between now and then.
Yeah.
Or we'll have to plan a change to remote option for, as well as in person, maybe a hybrid event.
I'll just say with Josh and Micah, thanks again for organizing this. Much appreciated.
Hey, thanks for being a presenter. Appreciate that.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.